It's not about the ads. This is number one mistake that entrepreneurs and some companies make, thinking that the ad is a problem. They blame the ad, and now on the internet, they blame the platforms YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, whatever it is. They blame the data, the segmentation, and all of that is not good. That we're not getting the data. Facebook changed the meta, and now we get scrambled eggs of data. And that's why it doesn't work. I want to give you some perspective on how we used to do things and how we keep doing it now, and we keep making the same mistake. My name is Telemap, and I want to welcome you to this channel, Mastering Storytelling Marketing, where I'm going to share with you content that are going to help you to communicate more effectively with your audience to convert them from leads, prospects to clients. So let's dive in. I'm going to introduce you in this short video to a man named Bill Bernbach. But first, we're going to talk about how we used to do things about 100 years ago. 100 years ago, somebody had a product, service, and they will do is to just get a piece of paper and post it on the town, on different places in the town, and then somebody will see it, and they will talk to somebody else, recommend it, and that's what we know as word of mouth. Now, word of mouth, still to this day, the most effective way of communicating or recommending a product. We're going to circle back to that. But now, let's talk about Bill Bernbach and who is he and why is he so important to advertisement. Back in 1950s, picture yourself there, post-war, there's a lot of products, a lot of services, and the question was, how do we communicate this to the masses? But still, they will focus on data, focus groups, but then how shocking this is. People lie. So advertising wasn't as effective until this guy changed the game. It's fascinating because it opposed two dilemmas. The product was Volkswagen Beetle. Now picture yourself, this is 1950s, just post-war. Americans were not happy with Germany. So here it is, this car trying to introduce themselves to the American people. And the question is, how do we do that? How do we get people to see themselves in this German car? And that's where we get to the nitty-gritty of what we're talking about in this video. It is not about the ads. It is about the narrative, starting with the headline. Like every good book, you have to have a great opening. An opening that will paint vividly the picture, not of the features, not of the product, but of the benefits or outcome of that product in people's daily life. How will impact their life, how it's going to affect their life, how it's going to add or make things easier in their life. That is what you have to focus on. It's the narrative. Now, if you don't tell the narrative, somebody else will. So marketing gives you the opportunity to control the narrative, what you want people to think about your product, or how is that product going to make them feel. Now, more importantly than the narrative of this ad, it's how do I get you to talk about it? Now, Bill Bernbach, a genius, created full pages of this little tiny Beetle image. Since Volkswagen couldn't afford back then color images, they will put them in magazines and newspapers on black and white. And the name of the campaign is called Think Small. Now it's interesting. This is they use one of the things that we're going to be talking about on this channel, archetypes. The archetype of humor, of the buffoon, the fool, self-deprecating deprecating humor. For what? To create conversation. They will point out their flaws, right? One of the campaigns was, it's ugly, but it will get you there. See, because what do we need? We need transportation. We need to go from A to B. It's not about, like the name of this other campaign. It was, it's not about power steering. No, they pointed out the flaws of their product. So it wasn't anymore about the product. It was about the benefit of the product. And the second part of this was getting people to talk about it. I mean, the ads were so ugly. It was so self-deprecating that people would talk about it in cafeterias and next to the water cooler, next to elevator. And that created the most effective way of marketing, which is word of mouth. Absolutely genius. That changed the face of advertisement forever since then. But what happened? We go back to the same habits. They used to use newspapers and magazines using banner ads, and they did the same when the internet was available to everybody. You go to a website and you still see banner ads. Now our brain shuts off that, and it doesn't really pay attention. It doesn't even know that it's there. It's not aware of it. But if there's a story, there's a narrative attached to that, then that's a game changer. So from now on, instead of blaming the platforms, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, whatever, because it doesn't matter if you put an ad that creates conversation, that sparks conversation, then you'll get the data. There's no way you can get data on every user that it's on these platforms. So once you spark the conversation, then you get the feedback, then you get the data that will help you to scale and reach the masses. So this is the lesson. The number one most important aspect of any ad to be successful is the narrative, is the story that is behind the product. It's the story of the conversation that is happening in your market's, your audience head. So if you agree, let me know in the comments. Things to remember. I'm gonna leave a link in the description that you can check this out. Bill Bernbach. It's absolutely genius. The one thing you have to ask yourself is, when making an ad, is this gonna get people to talk about it? See, is my narrative well drafted? Is gonna get people to talk about it? Then the headline, you gotta think in terms of headline. Is this headline is gonna start people on the tracks? It's gonna make them be curious about it. It's gonna make them ask themselves a question. The headline is as important as the narrative. Like a good book. If you open a book and you read the first line and you don't like it, you probably won't continue reading the book. It's the same thing here. The storytelling is all about the opening line that's gonna get that brain working on remembering past experiences or relating to the product, to the story, and then get them to talk about it as well. And for that, when you talk about the benefits or outcome of using your product, how it's going to make them feel, how it's going to impact their daily life, how it's going to affect their lives, you have to paint it in such a vivid color, like full picture, how those benefits are going to impact their life. So I'm going to leave that comment in there. I mean, that in the description, I'm going to leave the link to a site where you can read a little bit more about Bill Bernbach. It's a genius in advertisement, up there with David Ogilvy, and these masters of communications, of copywriting in the 1950s, which we can use today to enhance our strategies, our marketing strategies in this attention grabbing economy, which is what we need. So then again, subscribe to the channel. I'm gonna bring to you more content on storytelling strategies. My name is Telemap. It's been a pleasure, and I'll be back with you. And you can also follow us in the podcast In Motion Mastermind.